Most likely they are just trying to do what Immortan Joe is doing. Most likely they are just trying to trick you into accepting less, or what they can give or are willing to give at that particular point in time. The relationship between Nebula and Gamora is very tumultuous, and it's all because of Thanos' gaslighting. Eric seeks to make Raven believe that her purpose is his purpose, that her skills are so aligned with his goals that you'd be crazy not to use your skills for this. Don't you see this immaculate plan? Doesn't that resonate with you? Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lauren, and over here we discuss life topics by analyzing characters from popular TV and film. So today our topic is gaslighting, and we are going to look at some villains throughout some popular movie franchises to see some examples of what gaslighting really is and what it can look like, and talk about ways that you can overcome this if you think that someone is trying to do this to you. Now first, I start off by talking about what gaslighting is. As far as a definition, gaslighting is a form of manipulation or emotional abuse where the bully or the abuser makes the target question their reality and their judgments. And this is done in an attempt to control this person, to make them make certain decisions, to make them see themselves a certain way and them a certain way. And often the victim will end up feeling crazy, like they're out of it, like they're wrong, when deep down they know that they're right. Now of course this happens on a spectrum, ranging from your everyday interactions with someone when you're sort of unintentionally or unknowingly gaslighting someone, questioning their accuracy, something like that, unknowingly, to where you have more of a textbook abuser that is causing real damage in another person. So the first example we're going to look at is dealing with the character Mortortan Joe from the Mad Max franchise, specifically Mad Max Fury Road. He's the primary antagonist in the movie, and he is the Lord of the Citadel, and he's the leader over the War Boys. The people in this Citadel, who are very poor, who are starving, who have very limited resources, they view Immortan Joe as some type of god. They praise him, they sort of worship him. And he is the one who hoards all of the resources and allots all of the resources as he sees fit. He sort of starves the people out in order to keep them dependent upon him. And there's one specific quote in the movie that is such a classic gaslighting tactic. The quote is, "Do not become addicted to water. It will take hold of you and you will resent its absence." Now, like we just said, these people are starving. They don't have access to water. They're completely dependent on Immortan Joe to provide them with this water. And this is what he tells them. Now, as we said, gaslighting is a way to control someone else, and it's done by making the other person question their judgments or their reality. So instead of allotting the water or the resources the way that he's supposed to, he is trying to make the people feel as if they are crazy, that they are weak or overly dependent. Something's wrong with them for wanting and needing the resources that they need, like water. He's trying to convince them that they will become mentally strong if they conquer this need for water, and this is about discipline and all these types of things, when it's not. It's about needing water as a human being. And this is what someone who is trying to gaslight you will do. They will make you question your own needs, wants, and priorities, even though you know them full well, and you are allowed to have them as a human being. Everyone is allowed to have their needs and their wants, and to prioritize them in the way that as they best see fit, knowing themselves and knowing the world as they do. Everyone is allowed this. So to overcome this one, if anyone is trying to tell you what you need and what you don't need, and how to prioritize the things in your life, and you're grown and not really asking for their help, you kind of know what you're doing, this is the time to reject that and keep doing what you're doing. Most likely they are just trying to do what Immortan Joe is doing. Most likely they are just trying to trick you into accepting less, or what they can give or are willing to give at that particular point in time. It has nothing to do with how realistic your needs and wants are most of the time. Now there is a such thing as being unrealistic with desires, but most likely if someone is trying to force you out of a dream or a goal via some faulty logic like this, it's because they simply want to control you. Number 2 is to never become the pet or to be okay with being the exception to someone else's rule, because this automatically sets you up to be gaslit. For this one, we are going to look at the example of Thanos. Now, of course, Thanos is from the MCU, and we know he has a goal to wipe out half of the life on Earth. Now, he has done this successfully on other planets. From his pillages on other planets, he has acquired children. He takes in some kids from different planets, and he trains them up to be his kind of personal army to go in and invade other planets. And some of the children that he acquires include the two we want to talk about for this topic, Nebula and Gamora. Now, the relationship between Nebula and Gamora is very tumultuous, and it's all because of Thanos' gaslighting. He pits these two sisters against one another. They are constantly fighting, particularly Nebula, because she has been most affected by Thanos' manipulation. They are constantly fighting for the attention of their father. They're constantly fighting for the praise of Thanos. They each want to be the main pet, if you will, to him. Even the son Ronan also wants to be that until, things happen or whatever. But they really want to be his main pet. And Thanos makes sure to exploit this to its fullest capacity. He makes Nebula feel inferior. He makes them both feel competitive, even though neither Nebula or Gamora's goal has anything to do with Thanos' goal. This whole elimination of half of life is all Thanos. And even though his children don't have the same goal, they're still willing to work so hard towards this goal just to get closer to Thanos himself. And Thanos' gaslighting drives Nebula pretty much crazy. She questions herself. We can see this really well in Endgame, where there are the two Nebulas, one that's still in the timeline with Thanos, and then one that's in the current timeline where she has changed and kind of evolved and graduated out of that. We see these scenes where she's at odds with herself. She feels as if she is completely under Thanos' control. She can't escape because once she's physically trapped, of course, Thanos is very strong. If she tries to defect, she'll probably be captured and tortured and all this stuff. But there's also this mental hold he has over her, this emotional hold that he has over her via gaslighting her and abusing her all these years and sort of beating her into believing that all that matters is being his pet. All that matters is doing whatever he says. And if you're not doing that, then you're useless, you're crazy, you're unfit. Your reality is the wrong reality if you are not on Team Thanos. And this is in her so deeply that she is completely at odds with herself and at odds with Gamora as well. So be very weary and sort of playing player two or controller two or second to someone else that has a goal, because at that point it's very easy for them to come in and give you a false reality and have you believing it, because your position you're playing is always in support of them. I've been hearing and seeing a lot about this idea of being the main character in your own life, and I haven't exactly read about it or watched any of the videos. This is just kind of what I think it is from not really reading about it. But my understanding is that your reality is very much so your own. Your story is what you make it. And you, of course, are the most self-centered one in your life because everything is happening to you. So if you allow someone else to come in and take center spot, to take that main character spot in your life, you are opening yourself up for a ton of manipulation. So don't do that. Make sure you maintain the main character position in your life, the player one controller in your life. Mario, not Luigi. This is your story. Never be okay with being the pet, even if you really admire someone. That doesn't mean you completely get under them and become a part of their story. They are a part of your story, at least in your own reality. Nebula was eventually able to break out of this once she had this realization. She realized that Gamora was not her enemy, that what she truly desired was sort of friendship. She made peace with Gamora, she made friends with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and she began to live her own reality, not under Thanos. So, never be the pet, be the main character. And number 3, this type of gaslighting, or the person that does this type of gaslighting, is what I like to call the manipulative visionary. This is the person that sees something in you that you can't see in yourself. And I'm not talking about a person that truly cares about you and has shown you this over time. I'm talking about a different type of person. This is the person that wants to control you. And they always come with this thing: I see the potential in you. You just need to do this. You just need to do that. And the villain that I want to look at is Magneto, or Eric. And I also kind of want to look at the professor, Charles Xavier, also. Both of their relationships with Mystique. They both have a gaslighting undertone to the way that they deal with her. Charles Xavier took Raven in as a child. They grew up as sort of these sibling adjacent type relationship, and he sees Raven a certain way as sort of a little girl. He tries to protect her, and he sees her in her human form most of the time, and that's sort of what he wants to always see her in. He wants to put her in this sort of box. Whereas Eric has seen her other side, her real Mystique side, and he applauds that. He basically tells her that he sees that Mystique side of her as something very special, as something beautiful and unique. But what he doesn't say, but what he is saying, is he sees something useful in her. Useful to him and his cause and his purpose and his goal. And that's what the people who are manipulating you, who tell you that they see something you can't, are really saying. They may truly acknowledge your good qualities or admire something about you, but they admire it and acknowledge it because they want to gain control over you and begin using you for their purposes, which is exactly what Magneto especially and Charles Xavier try to do. Charles Xavier to a lesser degree. He tries to keep Raven in this box and control her and kind of keep feeding her this gaslighting narrative that, Raven, I know who you are and you're not this person, when she tries to venture out and discover more about herself and become more of herself. He stifles her growth in many ways, which is why she has to leave him eventually. And then we have Magneto, who of course is very mission focused and will pretty much do anything to get what he wants or what he deems appropriate at that time. He's willing to kill her at some point. He's willing to throw her away and use her up, even though he said that she is so special to him. And Mystique falls for this. She falls for Eric several times, and the way that he speaks and the way that he does things. She doesn't begin to overcome that gaslighting for quite some time. Eric seeks to make Raven believe that her purpose is his purpose, that her skills are so aligned with his goals that you'd be crazy not to use your skills for this. Don't you see this immaculate plan? Doesn't that resonate with you? Well, you would be silly. You would be denying the world of your talents and beauty if you don't go along with my plan. So again, going back to number 2, this idea of sort of becoming player number 2 to someone else's plan because of their gaslighting, because of them tricking you into believing their reality instead of what you know to be true. I know you guys have all seen that meme of Magneto and Raven in the bedroom, and he's like, no, I want to see the real you. No, the real you. And it's not to say that he was lying or whether he really thought she was beautiful or not. That's not the point. The point was he wanted to get her to that state for his own use, for his own purposes. And you have to be able to recognize when someone's doing that to you, because while it can be flattering and lovely in the moment, it will eventually become a very controlling relationship because you have become a tool for them as opposed to a person that rules their own reality. Okay, so that is all I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you're a step closer to avoiding any gaslighting tactics. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do all of the things, and I will see you guys in the next video.